Ryan here with longrangehunting.com, and in this video we are going to talk about the Maven RS.4 5 to 30 by 56. This one's in MOA. They also make it in a mil version, and in the opening sequence I had the specs up there. If you want, you can go ahead and rewind that and hit pause, take a look at them. We're not going to go over them in detail walking through this. The nice things about this scope are it's a first focal plane for those that want or are after a first focal plane scope. I myself, I'm indifferent. I prefer first focal plane, but it's not a deal breaker. I would easily buy either one depending on the other features. It's not a feature set that I'm going to focus on in making my final decisions, but it is a first focal plane scope. I'll set the reticle up here real quick while we talk through it. They've done a real good job of making it usable down on 5 power. It makes it a little bit thick on the top end for real precision work, but I've shot a lot of really tiny groups with this from 100 yards clear out to 1,000 yards, and so I don't think it's something that's going to impede precision. It's not ideal, but like I said, a lot of people gripe about first focal plane scopes because although they're great at the top end, they just can't use them at low end. And this one has really fat reticle at the edges, so when you zoom the power down to 5 power, it draws your eyeballs right into the center. And I think if you were doing some still hunting in dark timber, you would have no problem whatsoever using this reticle. It's a 34 millimeter tube, which typically is going to be a thicker tube and going to lead to more durability theoretically. With a well-built scope, I have not noticed difference in 30 versus 34, but it is a nice feature set. It is a little on the heavy side because of that, so it would be in line with like an ATAC-R as far as the weight at 35 ounces. It's not a deal breaker. You just got to be aware of it. It is very compact at under 13 inches, so if you're looking for a compact scope, it's nice, and I really like that about this scope. It does have an illuminated reticle, and it has on-off, so you dial it and there's off in between each setting. And like I've said hundreds of times before, I'm not a big illuminated reticle guy, but this is very usable. It's got green, it's got red, all on the dial. You just dial through it, and like I said, it's got stops in between, so that's very nice. It is also a side parallax adjust, and the controls are a little on the stiff side for me, but they're not a deal breaker. And I think, even though I have been using this for quite a while, I think with extended use it will probably get a little bit better. The zoom ring is a little on the stiff side as well. It is getting a little easier to turn as I've used the scope. Again, not a deal breaker. It's actually very smooth, just a little on the stiff side, but something to consider. Okay, it has both the windage and the elevation are exposed turrets. The windage is labeled left in 1 minute increments and right, so you're not going to get lost on which side, which direction you're dialing. So that is very nice. 25 minutes per revolution on the elevation turret. The turret's a little mushy. It's got a pretty decent tactile feel. I don't think you're going to misdial by any means, but it's a little mushier than the RS.4 or a Night Force NX8. It feels kind of like the Night Forces, that they're not as very solid. They're tactile, yet like I said, a little on the mushy. Very hard to explain. I would say if you've had your hands on a Night Force, it's going to feel very similar, but probably not quite as tactile feeling. Again, you're not going to get lost on where your dial is. You want to go to 13.5 minutes, you're going to find it no problem. And it does have a 0 set. It's a nice solid zero stop. You can hear it clunk. Both of these caps are toolless, so you just hold the turret itself, spin the cap off, and then turn it to where you take it off, set it where you need it, put it back on, and then spin the cap back on. Elevation is the same way. Once you get that elevation turret off, the zero stop is underneath the cap, and you just loosen 3 screws and then turn it clockwise until it hits the stop, and you'll be at the zero stop. So that's very nice. All in all, this is a great scope. At $1,800, it's going to be a little bit less money than like a Nightforce NX8. Quite a bit less money than an ATAC R. Now, the glass quality is going to sit right below the NX8. It's just not quite as crisp, and the color fidelity is a little bit off for me, but I'm not a big glass stickler. It's going to do everything that you need, and it wouldn't be a deciding factor in whether or not I purchase this scope or not. The biggest key features to me are the compact size, the good reticle. It's not too complicated. It does what we need. MOA is the version I'm using. I really like it. I've killed quite a few animals already with this setup, and the turrets are good enough for this price range. They're not the best, but they're up there with the best, and they're not something that would slow me down. The knobs are a little on the stiff side, but they function really good. So let's go ahead and summarize this and then close out the video. If you're in that $1,800 budget, you can't quite step up to the next level, this scope is going to be an awesome scope. Now, one thing that I don't really want to focus on, but it does need to be said, is Maven is direct to consumer, so they don't have to deal with the map restrictions or the box that it puts you in. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about what the box stores want, and it also, because of the direct to consumer, allows them to set a little bit lower price point for better quality optics in theory. And I really kind of feel like you're getting that with the products that we have used. Great turrets, good glass, the features that I think a lot of people want in the illuminated reticle. The side parallax adjust is very nice. Like I said, a little on the stiff side, but very usable. It's a 5-30 scope, which is a great zoom range. You can get clear down at 5, which is still usable for me in like predator hunting situations, but I really like the 30 power when you're taking those long distance shots. The reticle, like I said, is great, and I really like the simplicity of the 1 minute hash marks, and it's very usable. 34mm tube and the compact size make this a great scope in that price range. So like I said, if you're looking for that $1,800 or sub $2,000 scope, you really need to look at the Maven RS.4. We'll have a link in the description below to a thread on the forum. Head on over there. You can ask me any questions, leave any comments. I'll try to get those questions answered. Please like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on notifications so you can be notified of future videos. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Have a great day.